Good day, everyone. Yesterday I mentioned that it is God's will and His command that we should be holy, and that it is the desire and purpose of Jesus that His bride, the church, should be holy and blameless before Him. If you have been saved, God's calling, plan and purpose for you is to become holy. Holiness is for you. That may then bring a few questions to mind, namely, if holiness is so basic to the Christian life, why do we not experience it more in daily living? Why do so many Christians feel constantly defeated in their struggle against sin? Why does the Church of Jesus Christ so often seem to be more conformed to the world around it than to God? Well, in answering these questions, we need to consider three basic problem areas. Number one, our first problem is that our attitude towards sin is more self-centered than God-centered. We are more concerned with our failure in not conquering sin than we are that our sin grieves God. Our focus is on our frustration with ourselves rather than the heart of God that is grieved. We can learn a lot from David, who, after he committed adultery with Bathsheba and killed her husband Uriah, he then prayed in Psalm 51 verse 4, saying, "Against you, you only have I sinned, and done what is evil in your sight, so that you may be justified in your words and blameless in your judgment." Our focus should not be that we want to be victorious over sin, but rather that we want to be obedient to God and please Him because we love Him and understand that He is greatly grieved by our sins. Number two, our second problem is that we have misunderstood the meaning of living by faith. Some have taken this to mean that no effort at holiness is required on our part. There is also a wrong mentality of let go and let God that some people apply to their holiness instead of to God being at work in all creation according to His sovereign decree and in which we must rest. We need to face up to and understand that we have a responsibility to work out our salvation by being obedient. It is something that we must do. It is then also something that we can do, as Romans 6 verse 12 to 14 explains. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body to make you obey its passions. Do not present your members to sin as instruments for unrighteousness, but present yourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life, and your members to God as instruments for righteousness. For sin will have no dominion over you, since you are not under the law, but under grace. To a certain degree and to a certain extent, you can be as holy as you want to be. Number three, our third problem is that we do not take some sin seriously. We have categorized sins into that which is totally unacceptable and that which can be tolerated a bit, especially as it relates to our culture and our preferences. We tend to forget the reality that God views all sin as against Him, and that every sin, even the smallest of sins, according to us, is deserving of the wage of sin that God has decided, namely death. James 2 verse 10 says, "For whoever keeps the whole law but falls in one point has become guilty of all of it." It is not so much what sin we are doing, but rather against whom all sin is. Just consider the first sin. Eve took a bite of a fruit. How serious can that really be? You see, God is the one commanding us to obey Him, and we do not have the authority and luxury to decide which of His commands are applicable and important to us and which are not. All of His commandments are important and applicable to us. If you are a Christian, holiness is for you. May we become holy as He is holy. Amen.